There are words that seem so small, so harmless, that we speak them without a second thought. Words that slip past our lips like a whisper in the wind, woven into our daily conversations. Yet beneath their simplicity, they carry the power to shape the very fabric of our lives. 2 words, 2 simple syllables that can open the door to an entirely new reality, or keep you trapped in the same old loop you've been living for years. Those words are, I am. Most of us think of I am as nothing more than a description, a label we put on ourselves to express how we feel or what we're going through. I am tired. I am happy. I am not good enough. We sprinkle these words throughout our day like grains of salt, never pausing to notice what we're actually doing. But at the deepest level, these words are far more than simple statements. I am is not just speech. It's a signal you send to the universe, a command whispered to your subconscious, a choice you make about which version of reality you're going to step into next. The problem is, most of us speak these words unconsciously. We keep affirming old stories, old wounds, and old limitations without realizing it. Every time you repeat, I am stuck, or I am broken, you're not just describing your life, you're recreating it. You are breathing life into that identity and giving it permission to take root once again. It's like standing in front of a mirror and scolding your reflection, expecting it to change while you stay the same. The mirror doesn't care what you wish for. It only reflects who you believe yourself to be. And this is where the shift begins. Today is the moment where I am stops being a casual habit and becomes a sacred tool. Because the truth is, you are not here to merely speak the words, you are here to become them. Imagine for a moment that I am is like a key. Each time you speak it with awareness, you are turning that key in a lock, opening a door into a new version of yourself. But if you speak it unconsciously, if you repeat the same tired phrases born from past pain, you end up opening the very same door you've been walking through for years. The door that leads right back to struggle, doubt, and fear. I know this isn't easy to hear. Many of us grew up surrounded by words that weren't our own. We inherited them, perhaps from parents who said, "You'll never amount to much," or from teachers who told you what you weren't capable of, from a society that constantly whispers, "You're not enough." Over time, those words burrow deep into the subconscious. Like roots of an old tree, they became the default setting of our identity. And without realizing it, we began to live out someone else's story, repeating someone else's script. But here's the beautiful thing about being human. Your identity is not fixed. It is fluid. It is alive. It is quantum. Just as a river can carve a new path through the earth, you can carve a new path through your mind and heart. The words I am are the current of that river. The question is, will you let them carry you toward freedom, or back into the prison of the familiar? This is why awareness matters. When you become conscious of the words you speak, you stop being a passive participant in your life and start becoming an active creator. You stop describing what is and start declaring what will be. Think of it this way: every time you say, I am, you are casting a vote for who you are becoming. It's like placing a seed in the fertile soil of the universe. If you plant seeds of fear, I am worthless, I am stuck, I am unloved, then the garden of your life will grow thorns. But if you plant seeds of love, I am whole, I am free, I am worthy, then over time, your life will begin to bloom in ways you never thought possible. And yes, there will be resistance. The first time you speak a new I am, the old identity will rise up to challenge you. A voice in your mind might whisper, "Who are you kidding? That's not who you are." But that resistance is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. It's the old self realizing that its time is ending. When that voice shows up, don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Just breathe. With every breath, imagine you are releasing the old identity, like exhaling smoke from a fire that's finally burning out. With every inhale, imagine drawing in light, possibility, and freedom. Let the new I am settle into your body like a soft glow, filling every corner of your being. The secret is not to force yourself to believe, the secret is to feel. To let the words I am become more than sound. Let them become a vibration, a living presence inside you. When you say, I am love, don't just speak it, be it. Stand up a little taller. Look at the world through softer eyes. Treat yourself as someone who is already loved, already whole, already enough. This is how you shift realities, not by fighting the old hour, but by embodying the new. The universe doesn't need you to beg, to push, to prove anything. It only needs you to align. So today, I invite you to pause, close your eyes, place a hand over your heart, and whisper these words, not as a wish, not as a desperate plea, but as a knowing I am the frequency of my new reality. Feel how that lands. Notice how your breath deepens, how your body softens, how your mind begins to quiet. In that moment, you're no longer chasing a dream or clinging to a past. You are simply being, and in the stillness of being, everything begins to change. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered the truth that was always there. You are not separate from the universe. You are not broken or behind. You are the living, breathing expression of infinite possibility. And the words you speak, I am, are the bridge that brings that infinite possibility into form. So speak them wisely, speak them lovingly, and most of all, become them. 1. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. There's a quiet truth that most people miss, one that hides beneath the noise of ambition and desire. It's this: you don't get what you want, you get what you are. I know. At first, those words can feel heavy. They can feel unfair, even cruel, because so many of us have been taught to chase, to strive, to cling to our desires as if wanting hard enough will make them real. We've been told to create vision boards, to make lists, to repeat affirmations in the mirror until our voice goes hoarse. And while there's nothing wrong with dreaming, there's something deeper at play here, something the surface-level world of positive thinking often overlooks. The universe isn't listening to your words alone. It's listening to your essence, to the vibration that hums beneath your thoughts. It responds to the frequency of your being, not the noise of your wishing. Think of it like this: if you stand in front of a mirror and smile, your reflection smiles back. If you frown, the mirror frowns. The mirror doesn't give you what you ask for, it gives you what you show it. Life works the same way. You might say, I want love, but if, deep inside, you believe you are unworthy of love, that silent belief is what life reflects back to you. You might say, I want abundance, but if your nervous system is wired for lack and fear, the universe can only mirror that lack. No matter how many times you chant the words, I am wealthy. It's not that the universe is cruel, it's simply precise, like a finely tuned radio. It plays back the exact station you're tuned to. When I was younger, I didn't understand this. I thought if I just wanted something badly enough, if I worked harder than everyone else, if I pushed and fought and hustled, life would eventually reward me. But no matter how much effort I poured into chasing my dreams, they always seemed just out of reach, like trying to grasp smoke with my bare hands. And then, one day, I realized the truth. My life wasn't reflecting my effort, it was reflecting my identity. Wanting something is like standing at the edge of a river, shouting across to the other side. You see the beautiful meadow over there. You long for it. You call out, come to me. But the river doesn't move, and the meadow doesn't come closer, because longing alone doesn't bridge the gap. To cross over, you must become the kind of person who belongs in that meadow. You must step into the current and let the river carry you, not through force, but through alignment. This is why so many people feel stuck. They think manifestation is about saying the right words or visualizing hard enough, as though the universe can be tricked into giving them what they want. But it doesn't work that way. You can't fool the mirror. You see, the heart always speaks louder than the tongue. The subconscious always whispers more powerfully than the conscious mind. And the body, the body never lies. If you declare, "I am confident," but your shoulders are hunched, your breath is shallow, and fear coils tightly in your belly, the universe doesn't hear your words. It hears your state. It hears your trembling. It hears the quiet "I am afraid" humming beneath the surface. That's why transformation begins not with thinking differently, but with being differently. It's not about convincing the world of who you want to be. It's about convincing yourself. It's about creating a coherence between your thoughts, your emotions, and your body, so that every part of you speaks the same truth. When your entire being says, "I am loved," you don't need to shout it. You don't need to repeat it 1,000 times. The vibration is enough, and the universe, like a perfect mirror, simply reflects it back. I remember a time when I was desperately searching for love. I went on dates, read books about relationships, even tried to become more likable. But deep down, I carried a belief that I wasn't truly worthy of being chosen. And no matter how hard I tried on the outside, that hidden belief kept shaping my reality. The people I met seemed to confirm my deepest fears. They left. They disappointed me. They mirrored my own unworthiness. It wasn't until I stopped chasing love and started embodying love that everything shifted. I began to treat myself as someone already deeply loved. I spoke to myself with kindness. I moved through the world with softer eyes, with gentler hands. At first, it felt strange, like wearing a coat that didn't quite fit. But slowly, as I kept choosing this new way of being, something miraculous happened. The outer world began to reorganize itself around my inner change. The relationships that once drained me fell away. New people appeared. People who matched the frequency of the love I had cultivated within myself. And this, I realized, was the secret all along. Life was never punishing me. It was simply echoing me. So if you've been longing for something, a new job, a deeper connection, a sense of peace, pause for a moment. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have it?" yet, ask yourself, "Who am I being right now?" Because your current state of being is the magnet that pulls your experiences toward you. If you are living in fear, fear will come. If you are living in scarcity, scarcity will multiply. But if you are living in trust, love, and abundance, those same qualities will flow back to you, like rivers finding the sea. This isn't magic. It's alignment. You don't need to fight for what's already yours. You don't need to chase after the life you desire, like a beggar at the gates. You simply need to remember who you truly are, and let your being become the invitation. So, take a breath, feel into the truth beneath the noise of wanting, and know this: the universe is always saying yes, not to your wishes, not to your words, but to your state of being. When you shift who you are, everything you've been longing for will rise to meet you, like the morning sun breaking gently over the horizon. And in that light, you will finally see you never had to chase anything. You only had to become it. Is embodiment, not just a slogan. There's a moment in every healing journey when you realize that words alone are not enough. You can repeat, "I am abundant," 100 times a day. Plaster it on sticky notes around your house. Even whisper it to yourself before bed. But if, beneath those words, your heart still trembles with fear and your body still carries the heaviness of lack, nothing truly changes. Because the universe doesn't hear what you say, it hears what you are. Think of it like trying to convince a mirror. You stand before it and say, You're going to show me a happy, confident person. But if you're standing there with your shoulders slumped and sadness in your eyes, the reflection doesn't shift just because you demanded it to. The mirror doesn't care about what you tell it. It simply reflects the truth of your presence. The same is true of the quantum field, the unseen web of energy that connects all things. It doesn't respond to what you wish was true. It responds to the frequency you emit, moment by moment, breath by breath. This is why so many people feel frustrated with affirmations. They repeat positive words, but deep down they feel like a fraud. It's like painting over a cracked wall without fixing the foundation. Sure, it might look better for a little while, but the cracks always return because the deeper structure hasn't been repaired. I remember a time in my own life when I was desperately trying to manifest abundance. I had read every book, listened to every podcast, and followed every step the so-called experts suggested. Each morning, I would wake up and chant, "I am abundant. I am abundant," over and over again, hoping the words would somehow open a door to a new life. But later in the day, when the bills came in, when I saw the numbers in my bank account, an ache would settle in my chest. Fear would whisper, "You're not abundant. You're barely surviving." And that whisper was the frequency I was truly broadcasting to the universe. My lips were saying one thing, but my being was saying another. That's when I realized something essential. I am is not a magic spell. It's not about forcing the universe to give you what you want. It's about becoming the version of yourself that already has it. When you say, "I am abundant," but you're still living from the vibration of lack, the universe doesn't get confused. It doesn't say, "Oh, they're trying really hard. Let's give them a break." No, it simply reflects the energy that is most coherent, most consistent. And if that energy is fear or scarcity, then fear and scarcity will continue to show up in your life. The work, then, isn't in saying the words louder. It's in bringing your mind, heart, and body into alignment, so that when you say, "I am abundant," every part of you believes it. Your thoughts echo it. Your breath carries it. Your actions reflect it. This is embodiment. It's the difference between talking about water and actually drinking it. You can read every description of water. You can tell everyone how refreshing it is. But none of that quenches your thirst. Only drinking the water does that. In the same way, only living your I am quenches the soul. So how do you embody a new identity? It begins with presence. Take a quiet moment. Close your eyes and imagine the version of you who is already abundant. What does their life feel like? How do they move through the world? What choices do they make when challenges arise? At first, this might feel like play acting, like slipping into a costume that doesn't quite fit. That's okay. Every transformation begins as something unfamiliar. As you breathe into that vision, let yourself feel it not just in your mind, but in your body. Maybe abundance feels like a deep exhale, like the tension melting from your shoulders. Maybe it feels like a gentle warmth in your chest, or a steady rhythm in your heartbeat. These sensations are more important than the words themselves, because when your body begins to believe, the mind will follow. There's a soft, sacred power in this practice. Instead of repeating affirmations to drown out fear, you become the safe space where fear can dissolve. You stop trying to fight your old self, and instead you grow into your new self. And slowly, without force, the frequency of lack fades away, not because you've willed it to disappear, but because you've stopped feeding it. Think of a radio. If you're tuned to a station full of static, no amount of shouting will clear the noise. You don't fix the static by fighting it. You simply tune to a different station. That's what embodiment does. It changes the channel of your life. Over time, you'll notice subtle shifts. The same old triggers won't feel as sharp. Opportunities will seem to appear out of nowhere. People will respond to you differently, though they won't be able to explain why. It's not because the world suddenly decided to treat you better. It's because you became a living, breathing match to the reality you once only dreamed about. You didn't just say, "I am abundant." You became abundant. And here's the quiet truth. The universe can't resist coherence. When every part of you aligns with the truth you've chosen, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. So, if you've been feeling stuck, repeating words that don't seem to work, pause for a moment. Drop the performance. Let go of the need to convince yourself or anyone else. Instead, sink into the feeling of what you desire as though it's already here. Breathe it. Walk it. Live it. Because I am isn't about the sound of your voice. It's about the song of your soul. And when that song rings true, the whole universe listens and sings along. 3. Reality is a mirror that reflects you. Life has a way of showing us who we are, even when we don't want to see it. And while it may feel like the world is against you, punishing you, or holding you back, the truth is far softer and far more empowering. Reality isn't here to hurt you, it's here to reflect you. This truth can be difficult to accept, especially when you're going through hard times, when you're facing loss, loneliness, or rejection. It's natural to think, why me? Why is life so unfair? I know that feeling deeply. I've been there myself, standing in the middle of pain, so raw, it felt impossible to breathe, wondering if the universe had turned its back on me. But here's what I've learned. Through tears and silence, and years of stumbling in the dark, life isn't a punishment. It's a mirror, and like any mirror, it has only one job: to reflect back the image in front of it. If you stand in front of a mirror and frown, what do you see? A frowning face. You don't blame the mirror for showing you that. You understand instinctively that if you want the reflection to smile, you must be the one to smile first. The same principle applies to your life. If inside you are quietly repeating, "I am broken," or "I am unworthy," life will faithfully echo that identity back to you. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's precise. It's neutral. It simply reflects the frequency you are emitting, like a perfect, impartial lens. The challenge is that most of us don't realize what we're radiating. We look at the outer circumstances and think they are separate from us. We see the messy relationships, the lack of money, the endless struggles, and we say, "This is proof that I'm stuck." But in truth, those very circumstances are the result of an inner story we've been telling ourselves for years, sometimes even decades. I used to believe that if I could just fix everything out there, then I'd finally be happy. I tried to change jobs, change partners, even change the city I lived in. And for a little while, things would look different. The reflection would shift slightly, like rearranging furniture in a room. But before long, the same old patterns would return. The same arguments, the same financial worries, the same deep, unspoken emptiness. One day, while sitting alone with my journal, it hit me. I had been trying to wipe the mirror clean, but I had never changed the face looking into it. That realization was both painful and liberating. Painful, because I had to take responsibility. Liberating, because I finally understood that I had the power to create something new, not by fighting the reflection, but by transforming myself. Here's the thing most people don't realize: when you shift your inner state, the outer world doesn't just improve, it reorganizes. It's like tuning a radio to a different station. The signal changes instantly, and with it, the entire song of your life. This doesn't mean that you blame yourself for every hardship. It doesn't mean you sit in shame, thinking, "I must have caused this pain." That kind of thinking only deepens the wound. Instead, it means approaching life with gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, if my reality is reflecting me, what is it showing me about what I believe? When a relationship keeps falling apart, perhaps it's showing you where you've been repeating the quiet mantra, I am unlovable. When money always seems to slip through your fingers, maybe it's reflecting a belief that, deep down, I am not safe to receive. These are tender places to explore. It takes courage to look in the mirror and truly see yourself, not the self you project to others, but the raw, unfiltered self beneath the layers of defense. It's like standing naked in front of the truth. And yet, this is where transformation begins. Because once you see what you've been broadcasting to the universe, you can choose again. You can decide to rewrite the story. Imagine a garden. If you don't like the plants that are growing, you don't stand over the soil yelling, "Stop growing weeds." You don't keep pulling at the same old roots while still planting the same seeds. You understand that the only way to change the garden is to plant something new. Your inner world works the same way. If you want to see a different reflection in the mirror of life, you must tend to the seeds you've been planting inside yourself, your beliefs, your emotions, your identity. Over time, those seeds take root, and the outer landscape begins to change. I've seen this in my own life. When I finally stopped declaring, I am stuck, and began softly whispering, I am growing, I am learning, I am becoming, something shifted. At first, nothing outside changed. The bills still came. The same challenges still knocked at my door. But inside, a quiet calm began to bloom. My breath deepened. My body softened. I started making choices from love instead of fear. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the reflection shifted too. New opportunities appeared. Old conflicts dissolved without force. Life began to meet me at the frequency of my new self. This is why spiritual teachers for centuries have said, as within, so without. It's not poetic metaphor, it's practical truth. The outer world is like a faithful friend who never lies. It shows you exactly what's happening inside, even when you don't want to see it. So, if you find yourself staring at a reflection you don't like, don't waste your energy yelling at the mirror. Don't try to polish the surface while ignoring the face it reflects. Instead, turn inward. Ask yourself, what am I declaring about who I am? What silent story am I telling with every breath, every thought, every word? And then, with gentleness and patience, begin to shift that story. Not with force, not with shame, but with the same compassion you would offer a wounded child. Because when you change the one looking into the mirror, the reflection has no choice but to change too. And that, my friend, is where freedom begins. 4. Old identities come from the past, but they do not define your future. There's a quiet truth that often goes unnoticed until we are ready to hear it. Much of who you think you are was never really you to begin with. The story you tell yourself each day, your I am, didn't appear out of nowhere. It was carefully shaped over years, like clay molded by unseen hands. Family, teachers, friends, society, they all left fingerprints on that clay. And before you even had the chance to question it, their voices became your own. Maybe, as a child, you heard words that stung. You're too sensitive. You'll never be good enough. You're always so difficult. At the time, you didn't know how to separate yourself from those voices. You were small, tender, open to the world. So, you absorbed those messages like a sponge, and over time, they sank deep into your subconscious. Slowly, they became your truth. You began to whisper to yourself, I am not enough. I am unworthy. I am broken. Not because those things were ever true, but because they were repeated so often that they felt real. As you grew older, this inner narrative followed you. It shaped your choices, your relationships, even the way you walked into a room. It was like wearing a mask that you didn't know you had on, a mask handed to you by the past. And here's the thing. Most people live their entire lives without ever realizing they are wearing that mask. They keep acting out an old script written by other people's expectations and wounds, thinking it's their own authentic story. I know this because I lived it too. For years, I believed I was defined by the things that had happened to me. The mistakes I made, the people who hurt me, the words that cut deep and stayed lodged in my heart like splinters. Every time I failed, every time I felt rejected, it seemed to confirm the same painful identity. See, I am not enough. It's a heavy way to live, carrying the weight of a past you never chose. But here's the truth that saved me, the truth that can free you too. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. Read that again. Let it sink in. The old story you've been living is just that, a story, a collection of memories, perceptions, and beliefs. It's like an old photograph. You can look at it, acknowledge it, even feel the emotions it brings up. But it is not you. It is not happening now. You are not your pain. You are not your trauma. You are not the labels that were placed on you. You are the one who is aware of them. You are the observer, the witness, the presence behind it all. When you begin to see yourself this way, something incredible happens. The grip of the old story starts to loosen. You realize you have a choice you might not have known existed before. Imagine standing on a stage, reading lines from a script someone else wrote. You've been performing the same play for years, so long that you started to think it was reality. But one day, you pose, you look up from the script, and in that moment of awareness, you understand, wait, I don't have to keep saying these lines. I can put this script down and write a new one. That moment of awareness is what transforms your life. The past doesn't need to be erased or denied. You don't need to pretend it never happened. Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about reclaiming your power to choose what comes next. The child in you who was told they weren't enough may always live quietly in your heart. But you, the adult you are now, have the ability to hold that child with compassion and say, that was then, this is now, and I choose differently. For me, this realization came like a soft dawn after a long, dark night. I remember sitting alone, reflecting on all the times I felt trapped by old wounds. It was as if my life was on repeat, playing the same painful scenes over and over. And then, a thought rose within me. What if I'm not the pain itself? What if I'm the sky? And these memories are just passing clouds. That simple shift changed everything. When you stop identifying with the storm, you realize you are the vast, open sky that holds it. This doesn't mean the storm disappears instantly. The clouds may still roll in. The thunder may still rumble. But now, you know that they are temporary. They are not you. With that awareness, you no longer have to fight your past or fix it. You simply see it, honor it, and let it move through you. And from that place of stillness, you can choose a new I am. Maybe yesterday your inner voice said, I am lost. Today, you can whisper, I am finding my way. Maybe for years you believed, I am broken. Now, you can breathe deeply and declare, I am whole. This is not about pretending to be something you're not. Place first in the placed. It's about remembering who you truly are, beneath the conditioning. When you realize you are the observer, not the story, you reclaim your freedom. You no longer live on autopilot, reacting to old wounds. You become conscious, deliberate, awake. And from that awakened place, the future becomes a blank canvas. The pen is in your hands. The next chapter is yours to write. So if you feel weighed down by your past, take heart. You are not doomed to repeat it forever. You are not sentenced to keep living the same painful script. The story of who you've been brought you here, but it does not have to take you where you're going. You get to choose, and every time you whisper a new I, aim, You are planting seeds for a future that reflects the truth of your soul, not the echoes of your past. It begins, always, with awareness. And from there, step by step, word by word, you rewrite the life you were always meant to live. 5. Facing inner resistance. There is a moment, subtle but unmistakable, that arrives whenever you dare to speak a new I am. It often comes quietly, at first a whisper in the back of your mind, almost like a shadow passing by. You say to yourself, I am worthy, or I am free. And almost instantly, a small voice pushes back. No, you're not. Who are you kidding? That's not who you are. For many of us, this moment feels like failure. It feels as if our efforts to grow, to heal, to transform are somehow not working. We think, if I were truly changing, I wouldn't feel this doubt. I wouldn't hear this voice. And so we become discouraged. We stop declaring our new identity. We retreat back into the old patterns because they feel safer, more familiar. But here's the truth. The one that took me years to understand: that voice is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. Think of it like this. If you never left the walls of your comfort zone, you'd never feel resistance. Resistance only shows up at the edges, where the known and the unknown meet. It's like standing at the border between two countries. Behind you is the land you've lived in for years, the beliefs, behaviors, and identities you've grown used to. Ahead of you lies a new, uncharted territory, the expanded version of yourself that your soul longs to become. When you step forward and declare a new I am, you are crossing that border, and naturally, the old self will rise up and say, wait, this isn't safe. This isn't who we are. It's not because it hates you. It's because it believes it's protecting you. You see, the mind is deeply wired for familiarity, not fulfillment. Even if your old identity was painful, it was at least predictable. The nervous system craves what it knows, even when what it knows hurts. So when you dare to choose a new I am, like I am powerful, or I am healed, you are asking your system to step into the unfamiliar. Sold. That leap into the unknown triggers alarms. The old patterns scream, this is dangerous. Not because it truly is, but because it feels uncertain. I remember the first time I tried to embrace a new identity. After years of telling myself, I am unworthy, I finally whispered, I am enough. At first, it felt beautiful, like a soft light glowing in my chest. But within moments, the darkness crept in. My inner critic roared to life, shouting, enough. Who are you to say that? Look at your past, your failures, the times you've been rejected. You'll never be enough. In the beginning, that inner resistance crushed me. I thought it meant I was doing something wrong. But over time, I learned to see it differently. I realized that resistance is not an enemy to fight, but a messenger to understand. It's like when a seed begins to sprout beneath the soil. At first, the earth resists. The shell of the seed must crack open, and the soil must shift to make space for the tender green shoot. From the outside, this might look like a struggle, but in truth, it is growth. The cracking and pushing are signs of life, not death. Your inner resistance is no different. When you declare a new I am, you are planting a seed of transformation. The discomfort you feel is simply the old self making way for the new. So, instead of fearing that resistance, meet it with compassion. When that voice says, you're not worthy, pause and listen. Not to believe it, but to understand it. Thank it for trying to keep you safe. And then gently let it know that things are different now. You are choosing a new path. And while the old self may not understand yet, it will catch up in time. Here's a practice that has helped me. When the inner critic rises, I place a hand over my heart and take a slow, Deep breath. I imagine myself sitting across from that frightened part of me, like sitting across from a scared child. And I say softly, I hear you. I know you're afraid, but we are safe now. We are allowed to grow. This small act of self-compassion changes everything, because the moment you stop fighting your resistance, it begins to soften. And when it softens, you can move forward without so much inner conflict. Remember this. The presence of resistance means you are expanding beyond the old limits. It's like soreness after exercise, a sign that your muscles are getting stronger. If you never felt that stretch, it would mean you weren't growing. So when you hear that whisper, no, you can't. No, you're not. Smile gently. Recognize it for what it is, a signpost that you are on the edge of something new and beautiful. The key is to keep going, even if it's only one small step at a time. Each time you choose to repeat your new I am, even in the presence of doubt, you are rewiring your subconscious. You are training your body and mind to accept this new identity as truth. There will be days when the old voice feels louder than ever, when you're tempted to give up. On those days, remember this simple truth. Resistance is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're alive, evolving, and breaking free. Over time, the volume of that voice will fade, not because you forced it into silence, but because you stopped feeding it. Like a fire without fuel, it will simply burn out. And then, in the quiet that remains, you will notice something extraordinary. Your new I am no longer feels like a fragile hope. It feels natural, like it has always been there, waiting for you to claim it. That's when you'll know you've crossed the border. The old land is behind you. The new territory is beneath your feet. And you'll realize that resistance was never the enemy. It was simply the gatekeeper, testing your commitment to the new life you've chosen. 6. The quantum coherence practice. Connecting heart and mind. There comes a point in the journey of transformation where words are no longer enough. You've declared a new I am. You've dared to imagine a different version of yourself. But deep down, there's still a part of you that hesitates. A part that clings to the old identity. This is why practice matters. Change isn't just about saying something once and hoping it sticks. It's about embodying it, training your mind, your heart, and your body to come into alignment so that your new identity feels as natural as breathing. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through a simple yet profound practice called quantum coherence. At its core, quantum coherence is about creating harmony between your thoughts and your emotions, between your inner world and your outer reality. When your heart and mind are out of sync, it's like trying to play a piece of music on an out-of-tune piano. No matter how skillfully you press the keys, the sound will be discordant. But when you tune the instrument, the same notes become beautiful. Your life works the same way. When your mind is saying, I am free, but your body is tense with fear, the signal you send to the universe is mixed and unclear. The field doesn't respond to the words, it responds to the coherence of your state. When your thoughts and feelings are aligned, your energy becomes like a clear, steady note, and the universe, like a perfect mirror, reflects it back. This practice isn't complicated, but it is sacred. It's not about forcing anything or performing perfectly. It's about gently guiding yourself back into alignment, moment by moment, until the new identity begins to feel like home. Here's how to begin. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably with your spine straight, as though you're creating a channel for energy to flow freely through you. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath. Let your shoulders soften as you exhale, releasing the tension you've been carrying. Now, bring your awareness to your heart, not just the physical organ in your chest, but the space around it, the center of your being. Imagine that you are breathing directly into this space, as if each inhale fills your heart with light and each exhale clears away old, stagnant energy. As you settle into this rhythm, choose a single, clear I am statement. It might be something like I am free, I am secure, I am worthy. Choose the one that resonates most deeply in this moment, the one your soul longs to embody. Now comes the most important part. Feel it. Don't just repeat the words in your mind. Let yourself sink into the experience of what it would feel like if this were already true. If you chose I am free, imagine what freedom feels like in your body. Does it feel like an open sky, a deep exhale, a lightness in your chest? Notice the sensations that arise. No matter how subtle, the more vividly you can feel it, the more powerful the practice becomes. Place your hand gently over your heart. Whisper the words slowly, as though you are speaking directly to your own soul. I am the frequency of my new reality. Say it again. And this time, let the words ripple through you like waves on a still lake. Feel them vibrate in your chest, your belly, your whole being. At first, your mind may wander. Old doubts may surface. That's okay. You don't need to fight them or push them away. Simply notice them, like clouds passing through the sky, and then gently return to the feeling in your heart. Stay here for a few minutes, or as long as you need. There is no rush. This is your sacred space, your time to remember who you truly are beneath the noise of the world. When you feel ready, open your eyes slowly. Notice how different the room feels, not because the outer world has changed, but because you have shifted inside. The coherence you've created within yourself will ripple outward into your reality, like the first ring of a stone dropped into still water. Here's what's truly miraculous when you practice this consistently. Your inner state becomes stronger than the old patterns. The resistance that once felt overwhelming begins to dissolve. You no longer have to wrestle with your old identity or convince yourself of the new one. Instead, the shift happens naturally, like a seed sprouting in spring. At first, the changes may be subtle. Perhaps you respond to a stressful situation with calm instead of anger, or you make a choice that reflects your worth instead of your fear. These small moments are evidence that your new I am is taking root. Over time, those small shifts accumulate. The people around you notice something different, even if they can't name it. Opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. Life begins to mirror back the harmony you've cultivated within. But remember, this coherence isn't about perfection. There will still be days when you feel off balance, when the old doubts creep back in. That doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means you are human. Each time you return to the practice, you strengthen the connection between your heart and mind, between your inner and outer worlds. This is how lasting transformation happens, not through force, but through gentle, consistent alignment. So, make a promise to yourself. Even if it's only for a few minutes each day, sit with your heart, breathe deeply, and declare, I am the frequency of my new reality. Over time, those words won't just be something you say. They will become something you are. And when that happens, you'll no longer need to fight for your new life. It will rise up to meet you, effortlessly, because you have become the living, breathing embodiment of the reality you once only dreamed of. 7. Timeline jumping. Choosing who you become. There's a moment in life when you realize that reality is not as fixed as you once believed. We grow up thinking the world is solid, unchanging, and absolute, as if life is a single, unbroken path stretching out ahead of us. But as you begin to awaken, as you pay closer attention to the subtle shifts inside yourself, then you discover something both humbling and empowering. There are many paths, many versions of you, many timelines already existing side by side. Each choice you make, each belief you hold, each I am you declare. It's like stepping onto a different branch of this infinite tree of possibilities. When you whisper, I am love, you align with one version of reality. When you whisper, "I am lonely," you align with another. The world doesn't force one path on you. You are choosing, moment by moment, with the frequency of your being. This is what I mean by timeline jumping. It isn't about magically teleporting to some faraway place or watching the world around you dissolve and rebuild like a movie scene. It's quieter than that, gentler. It's the subtle, profound shift that happens when you realize you are not here to change the external world directly. You are here to change the version of yourself that the world is reflecting. Think of it like looking into a mirror. If you stand there frowning, the reflection frowns back. You don't reach into the mirror and try to move its mouth into a smile. That would be absurd. The only way to change the reflection is to change your own face first. Life works the same way. The outer circumstances are not separate from you. They are the reflection of who you are being right now. So, when you step into a new I am, you are, in essence, jumping timelines. You are shifting from one version of reality to another by choosing a different version of yourself. At first, this can feel abstract, so let me bring it closer to home. There was a time in my life when loneliness felt like my constant companion. No matter where I went or who I was with, there was this deep, aching emptiness inside. I told myself over and over again, often without realizing it, I am lonely. I am unwanted. I am invisible. Those weren't just words. They were instructions. They were the frequency I was sending out to the world. And the world, like a faithful mirror, reflected them back to me. Relationships would fizzle. Connections would feel shallow. Even moments of happiness seemed to slip through my fingers, as though life itself was confirming the story I had been telling. Then, one quiet evening, I sat alone and did something different. Instead of focusing on what I didn't have, I began to imagine the version of me who felt whole, connected, deeply loved. Not a fantasy, not someone far away, just another version of me that already existed in the field of infinite possibilities. I closed my eyes and whispered, softly, "I am love." At first, the words felt strange, even false. My mind immediately argued back, "No, you're not. Look at your life. Look at the evidence." But instead of fighting the doubt, I let it be. I kept breathing into my heart, feeling the warmth of love as if it was already there. Over the next few weeks, something remarkable began to happen. I didn't notice it all at once. It was subtle, like the changing of seasons. But little by little, I began to feel different inside. I walked through the world with softer eyes. I spoke to others with more openness, more warmth, and as I shifted internally, my external reality began to shift, too. People responded differently. Strangers smiled at me. Conversations deepened. Relationships grew in ways that once felt impossible. I hadn't changed the world by force. I had changed the timeline I was tuned into simply by choosing a new I am. This is the quiet magic of timeline jumping. It's not about making the old timeline disappear or destroying the past. It's about withdrawing your energy from the version of you that no longer serves you. Like a fire without wood, the old reality fades when you stop feeding it. And here's the most beautiful part: the old you and the new you exist simultaneously. Both timelines are real. Just as multiple radio stations are broadcasting right now, you don't need to fight to make your favorite station play. You simply tune your dial to the frequency you want to hear. When you choose I am love instead of I am lonely, you tune to the station where love already exists. When you choose I am worthy instead of I am broken, you align with the version of you who lives from wholeness, not lack. And slowly, the outer world begins to reflect that new frequency. It might start small, a kind word from a friend, an unexpected opportunity, a moment of peace in a place where you once felt chaos. But over time, these subtle signs grow stronger, like threads weaving a new tapestry. Of course, there will be moments when the old timeline tries to pull you back. Memories will surface, doubts will whisper, circumstances might temporarily resemble the past. This is normal. The key is to remember you don't need to fight the old timeline. You simply stop feeding it with your attention. When a thought arises, I am lonely, don't resist it or judge it. Just notice it, like a cloud passing across the sky, and gently return to your chosen frequency. I am love. Each time you do this, you strengthen the signal of the new timeline. And with consistent practice, that version of reality becomes the dominant one. It begins to feel natural, effortless, inevitable. This is the quiet revolution of timeline jumping. It's not about forcing life to be different. It's about aligning so deeply with the truth of who you are that the reflection has no choice but to shift. So today, I invite you to pause and ask yourself, which timeline am I feeding with my thoughts, my emotions, my I aims, and which version of me is ready to come alive? The moment you choose, the shift begins. And with every breath, every heartbeat, you step more fully into the reality that was waiting for you all along. 8. The truth about reality's delay. There's a moment in every transformation where doubt creeps in. You've done the inner work. You've chosen a new I am. You've been practicing, feeling, breathing into this expanded version of yourself. And yet, when you open your eyes and look around, nothing seems to have changed. It's easy in those moments to feel discouraged, to think, maybe this isn't working. Maybe I'm fooling myself. I've been there. I know how heavy it feels to do everything right on the inside while the outside world stubbornly stays the same. But here's a truth that can bring you peace if you let it sink in. What you see right now is not a reflection of who you are becoming. It is a reflection of who you were. Think of the night sky. When you look up at the stars, you're seeing light that has traveled millions of years to reach you. Some of those stars have already burned out, their fire extinguished long ago, and yet their light still shines, as if they are alive in this very moment. The sky you see is not the present, it is the past, still arriving. Your life works the same way. The reality you are experiencing right now is like starlight. It is a delayed reflection of your old beliefs, your old identity, your old I am. Even though you may have shifted inside, even though you are no longer the same person you were yesterday, the external world is still catching up to who you've become. When you understand this, patience naturally follows. You stop mistaking the delay for failure. You realize that just because you can't see immediate results doesn't mean nothing is happening. I remember a time when I was working hard to transform a deeply rooted pattern of lack in my life. For years, my inner voice whispered, I am not safe. I am not supported. These beliefs shaped everything, my relationships, my finances, even the way I walked through the world. When I finally began to shift, when I started declaring, I am secure, I am worthy, something powerful happened inside me. I could feel the difference. My body relaxed. My choices changed. For the first time, I felt a deep sense of inner safety. But on the outside, nothing looked different. The bills still came. The challenges still showed up. And for a while, I doubted myself. I thought, if this is really working, shouldn't my reality reflect it by now? That was when I learned the lesson of delay. Just like the starlight, the life I was seeing was the result of old signals I had been broadcasting for years. It wasn't proof that my new frequency wasn't working. It was simply a snapshot of the past, still playing itself out. The more I stayed rooted in my new identity, the more my external world began to catch up. Slowly, subtly, like the first signs of spring after a long winter, evidence of my inner change began to appear. Unexpected opportunities showed up. Support arrived in ways I couldn't have planned. It wasn't instant, but it was inevitable. This is the truth about reality's delay. There is always a gap between the seed you plant and the harvest you see. Imagine planting a tree. On the day you press the seed into the earth, you don't walk outside the next morning expecting to find a towering oak. You trust the process. You water it. You nurture it. You know that even though you can't see what's happening beneath the soil, life is stirring. Roots are forming. Growth is taking place in the unseen. Your inner work is the same. When you declare a new I am, you are planting a seed in the field of infinite possibilities. You might not see immediate changes on the surface, but deep within, the roots are taking hold. The universe is rearranging itself to match the frequency you've chosen. The challenge is that most people give up before the seed has a chance to grow. They look at the empty soil and say, "See, nothing is happening. This doesn't work." And in their frustration, they dig up the seed, abandoning their dream just when it was beginning to sprout. Patience is not just about waiting. It's about trusting the unseen. It's about knowing that what you feel inside today will eventually appear outside. Even if it takes time, the delay isn't there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. It gives you space to stabilize in your new identity so that when the external world does shift, you are ready to receive it fully. Think of it this way: if the outer reality changed instantly, before your inner state was steady, you wouldn't be able to hold on to it. You might slip back into old patterns because you hadn't built the foundation to sustain the new life. The delay is grace. It's a gift, even if it doesn't feel like one in the moment. So, when you find yourself staring at a reality that feels like the past, remember this: it is only old light. It's the echo of who you used to be, still traveling toward you. And just like the stars, it will eventually fade, making room for the brightness of the new you. In those moments, instead of doubting yourself, come back to your inner practice. Breathe deeply, place a hand on your heart, and whisper your chosen I am. Feel it as if it's already true. Because on the quantum level, it is. The more you embody that truth, the faster the outer world aligns. And one day, seemingly out of nowhere, you'll wake up and realize the reflection has caught up, the delay has ended, and the life you've been nurturing inside is now shining all around you, as natural and inevitable as sunrise after a long, dark night. Until then, trust the process, trust yourself, and know that every moment you spend in alignment is creating ripples that will reach you in time, just like starlight crossing the endless sky. 9. Breath as the bridge to the I am frequency. There are moments in life when change feels overwhelming. We tell ourselves we must work harder, I think better thoughts, or push through with sheer willpower to become who we want to be. But the truth is often much simpler and far more gentle than that. Sometimes, transformation begins with something as basic, as natural, as a single breath. Breath is life's first gift to you. It was there when you entered this world. The very first thing you did as a newborn, a deep, instinctive inhale, announcing, I am here. And one day, when you take your final exhale, it will be the last thing you release before you leave this form behind. Every moment in between is strung together by countless breaths. A rhythm so constant, we often forget it's even happening. But when you bring awareness to your breathing, you discover something profound. Each breath is a choice point. Every inhale is an invitation. Every exhale is a letting go. Inhale, and you invite a new version of yourself into being. Exhale, and you release the old stories that no longer serve you. This is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. It's not dramatic or loud. It doesn't require you to fight or struggle. It simply asks you to be present, to meet yourself exactly where you are, and to breathe consciously. When you combine the breath with the power of I am, you create something even more powerful, a sacred ritual that connects you to the field of infinite possibilities. It's like turning your breath into music, a wordless song that speaks directly to the quantum field. Here's how it can look in practice. Find a quiet space where you can sit comfortably, close your eyes, and let the noise of the world soften into the background. Take a slow, deep inhale through your nose, feeling the air expand your chest and belly. As you breathe in, silently declare to yourself, "I am becoming." Feel the new identity you've chosen, filling you like light, pouring into a darkened room. Hold that breath for a moment. Let it settle, like a seed being planted in fertile soil. Then exhale gently, through your mouth if you can. As you release the breath, imagine you're letting go of everything that no longer aligns with who you're becoming. Old fears, outdated beliefs, the heavy baggage of the past. You might even whisper softly, "I release." Inhale, "I am love." Exhale, "I let go of loneliness." Inhale, "I am free." Exhale, "I release what kept me small." This rhythm turns each breath into a living dialogue between you and the universe. You're not just breathing oxygen, you're breathing identity, possibility, transformation. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require you to force anything. You don't need to convince yourself or fight your old thoughts. Breathing is natural, effortless, and because it's so simple, it bypasses the mind's resistance. You don't have to argue with the voice that says, "You're not enough." You simply breathe in the truth and breathe out the lie. Over time, the body begins to believe what the breath has been saying all along. I remember a season of my life when everything felt chaotic. No matter what I tried, I couldn't quiet my racing mind. I was caught between who I used to be and who I was becoming, and the gap between the two felt unbearable. One evening, I sat down with my hand over my heart and just breathed. Nothing fancy, no techniques or complicated rituals, just breathing, deeply and intentionally, whispering softly with each inhale, "I am safe," and with each exhale, "I let go." At first, it felt almost too simple to matter, but within minutes, I noticed a shift. My shoulders softened, my mouth unclenched. The storm inside me began to quiet. In that moment, I understood something. My breath was a direct line to my nervous system, my subconscious, my soul. It was a bridge between the old self and the new one. Each breath became a declaration, not just of survival, but of creation, and slowly, with practice, my outer life began to reflect the inner calm I was cultivating with each inhale and exhale. Breath reminds us that transformation doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to tear down your entire life in one day or have everything figured out at once. You just need to meet this moment with awareness, over and over again. Consider this. Your breath is the most constant thing in your life, and yet it is always changing. Each inhale is new. Each exhale is gone forever. No two breaths are exactly the same. In this way, your breath is the perfect teacher for transformation. It shows you, moment by moment, how to let go and begin again. When you bring "I am" into this rhythm, you are no longer just breathing air. You are breathing identity. You are breathing your future self into existence. With each inhale, you align with the frequency of who you are choosing to become. With each exhale, you free yourself from the frequency of who you no longer wish to be. This isn't metaphorical, it's energetic. Science shows us that our breath directly impacts our heart rate, our brain waves, and the electromagnetic field of our body. When you breathe consciously, you are literally tuning your frequency, like adjusting the dial on a radio. Imagine, for a moment, a vast orchestra playing a chaotic, discordant tune. That's what it feels like when your mind, body, and spirit are out of sync. But when you breathe with intention, it's as if you are slowly bringing each instrument into harmony. The noise fades, the music begins, and in that harmony, the universe hears you clearly. It responds not to your words, but to your vibration. This is why breath matters so deeply. It's not just life-sustaining. It's reality-shaping. So the next time you feel lost or overwhelmed, remember this simple truth. You don't need to fix everything at once. You don't need to solve the whole puzzle of your life in a single day. All you need to do is breathe. Inhale, call in the new self. Exhale, release the old self. And trust that each breath is a step across the bridge, carrying you closer to the reality that has been waiting for you all along. 10. Love is the foundation of every I am, at the heart of every transformation. Beneath all the practices, affirmations, and techniques, there is one force that determines whether your I am truly takes root. That force is love. Not the love we've been taught to chase, the kind that depends on someone else's approval, attention, or validation. Not the fleeting feeling that rises and falls based on how others treat us or whether life goes according to our plans. I'm talking about a deeper love, a love that comes from within, a love that isn't earned, bargained for, or taken away. This love is your natural state, the quiet knowing that you are whole, safe, and worthy, simply because you exist. Without this inner foundation, no matter how many times you repeat an affirmation, the words will feel hollow. You can stand in front of a mirror and say, "I am worthy," over and over again. But if underneath those words there is a current of self-rejection, the universe doesn't hear the statement, it hears the doubt behind it. The universe always reflects what you feel to be true, not just what you say. And love is the purest, most powerful frequency you can embody. Think of it this way. Imagine you're planting a seed. If the soil is dry and lifeless, the seed will struggle to grow, no matter how perfect it is. But if the soil is rich, warm, and nourished, the seed naturally thrives. Love is the soil. Your I am statements are the seeds. When you speak words of truth from a place of love, they take root effortlessly. But when you speak them from a place of fear or desperation, it's like planting seeds in barren ground. They simply can't grow the way you hope. I learned this lesson the hard way. For many years, I tried to fix myself through willpower. I thought if I could just repeat the right words, push myself hard enough, I would finally become the person I wanted to be. So I said things like, "I am strong. I am successful. I am happy." And for a while, it seemed to work on the surface. I looked like I was thriving. But inside, there was a quiet ache, a part of me that didn't believe those words. One day, in a moment of stillness, I placed my hand on my heart and simply said, "I am here, and I love you." No grand affirmation, no big performance, just presence and compassion. And something shifted. I felt a warmth rise up from within, a sense of safety I hadn't felt in years. Tears came, not from sadness, but from relief. That's when I understood it wasn't about convincing myself of a new identity. It was about creating a foundation of love strong enough to hold that identity. When you say, "I am worthy," from a heart filled with love, you're not trying to persuade yourself of anything. You're simply acknowledging what's already true. And in that moment, the universe has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Because love doesn't negotiate. It doesn't argue or doubt. It simply is. Here's the thing, most of us spend our lives searching for love outside of ourselves. We look for it in relationships, in achievements, in the eyes of others. We think, if they love me, then I'll feel whole. If I succeed, then I'll feel worthy. But external love is fragile. It can be taken away. It rises and falls with circumstances. Inner love, on the other hand, is unshakable. It doesn't depend on anyone else. It's the quiet, steady flame that continues to burn even when the winds of life try to blow it out. When you speak an "I am" from this inner place, You are no longer begging the world to agree with you. You're no longer trying to convince yourself through sheer effort. You are radiating a truth so strong that it naturally magnetizes experiences that match it. It's like the difference between saying, "I am enough," while secretly hoping it will someday be true, and saying, "I am enough," because you have already felt it in every cell of your being. The first is a wish. The second is a declaration. The universe always responds to declarations. One of the simplest ways to access this inner love is through stillness. Take a few quiet moments each day to sit with yourself. Hand over your heart. Breathe deeply, slowly, and instead of rushing to repeat affirmations, simply listen. Notice what arises: the tension, the fear, the old stories you've been carrying. Don't judge them. Don't try to push them away. Just hold them with compassion, the way you would comfort a frightened child. In that space of gentle presence, whisper softly, "I love you. I am here." At first, it might feel awkward or even uncomfortable. You might hear that inner critic scoff. "This is silly. It won't change anything." That's okay. Just keep breathing. Keep returning to love. Over time, something miraculous happens. The inner critic begins to soften. The wounds you've been carrying start to heal, and your "I am" statements begin to feel less like words and more like a living truth. When love is the foundation, even the smallest affirmation carries incredible power. You don't have to repeat it 1,000 times or say it with forced intensity. Just a single, heartfelt "I am worthy" can ripple through the quantum field and reshape your reality. Because love is coherence. Love is alignment. Love is the language the universe understands best. So before you focus on what you want to create, pause and come home to yourself. Feel that steady, unchanging love inside you. The love that has been there since the moment you took your first breath. Let it fill you, nourish you, hold you. Then, from that place, speak your "I am." When you do, you'll notice that the world responds differently, not because you forced it to, but because the reflection has no choice. When you are love, life can only mirror love back to you. And in that moment, you realize the deepest truth of all. You were never trying to become worthy. You were simply remembering that you already were. Returning home to the truth of "I am." There are two words so simple, so ordinary, that we say them countless times each day without a second thought. And yet, these two words hold the power to shape the entire course of your life. I am. I am is not just a phrase. It is not merely language. It is a doorway, a threshold that leads you into infinite versions of yourself. Infinite realities that already exist in the vast field of possibility. Every time you speak these words with awareness and feeling, you are not just describing life, you are choosing it. Most people don't realize this. They speak "I am" unconsciously, repeating the stories of their past without even noticing. I am tired. I am unlucky. I am not good enough. And life, like a faithful mirror, reflects those words back again and again, until it feels like fate. But what we call fate is often nothing more than repetition. The same story told so many times it becomes invisible. The life you are living today is not a punishment. It is not set in stone. It is simply an echo of who you used to be, a delayed reflection of your old thoughts, beliefs, and identities. Just like starlight traveling through the night sky, what you see now is the light of a past that is already burned out. This means something extraordinary from this moment forward. You are free to choose again. You don't have to keep replaying the same script. You don't have to keep wearing the same identity like an ill-fitting coat. With every breath, every choice, every declaration of "I am," you are recording a new track in the song of your life. You are creating a new future, one that aligns with who you are becoming rather than who you've been. So pause for a moment, take a slow, deep breath, Feel the air filling your lungs, the rhythm of life moving through you. And as you exhale, whisper softly, I am the frequency of my new reality. Say it not as a wish, not as a plea, but as a knowing. Feel it vibrate in your chest, your bones, your entire being. Let those words become more than sound. Let them become your state of being. From this moment on, you no longer need to chase after the life you desire. You no longer need to wait for someone else to tell you who you are or what you deserve. The seeking, the striving, the endless reaching, they can finally rest. There is no more waiting. There is only being, only embodying, only becoming. When you live as if your chosen I am is already true, the outer world begins to reorganize itself to match your inner reality. Not because you forced it, but because life has no choice but to reflect the frequency you are radiating. If you declare, I am love, and truly feel it in your heart, then the universe must return that love to you. If you declare, I am free, and live from that place of inner freedom, the circumstances of your life will slowly shift to match it. This is not magic, it is alignment. It is the natural law of cause and effect playing out on a deeper, more subtle level. And even when the reflection takes time to appear, even when the old reality lingers like fading starlight, you will know that the new reality is already on its way. You will no longer be shaken by the evidence of the past, because you will understand it for what it is, a delayed image, already dissolving. In that knowing, there is peace, there is power, there is freedom. You begin to live not as a seeker, but as a creator, not as someone waiting to be rescued, but as someone remembering who they truly are. Because the deepest truth is this: you were never broken. You were never incomplete. You have always been whole, always been worthy, always been enough. Somewhere along the way, you simply forgot. You were conditioned to believe you were lacking, that you had to earn love, that you had to fight for your place in the world. But those were never the truth. They were only the stories you were taught to repeat. Today, you remember. Today, you return to yourself. Today, you come home. And when you come home to the truth of who you are, every I am you speak becomes a doorway to infinite possibilities. Every breath becomes an act of creation. Every moment becomes a chance to align with the reality your soul has always known was possible. So, as you move forward, carry these words like a compass. I am the frequency of my new reality. Let them guide your steps. Let them shape your choices. Let them remind you that you are not defined by the past. You are defined by the vibration you choose right now. No more searching, no more waiting, just breathing, being, and becoming, because you were never truly lost. You were never truly lacking. You were only asleep to your own brilliance. And now, in this moment, you awaken. You return to the wholeness that has been yours all along. You return to the love that never left you. You return home.